Here we go.
Shut up.
I'm nervous.
This week on Look It, we have a very special episode, Jennifer's Body. A very special guest this week, Victoria De Leon, is with us. Another Glendora cool person who's here. Also here is Ian, of course. Ian, hello.
Hey. Hello. Just a couple of Glendora cool people.
Well, it's an honor to be self-prescribed as cool.
Oh,
So
big time.
in Glendora.
What an honor.
Yeah, well, welcome, Victoria. How are you doing? Anything you want to share?
I'm good. I mean,
There are dozens of people listening.
oh my gosh.
Well, for our moms listening,
I-
let them know.
So a lot of my days when I'm not spiraling is filled with, a lot of reading,
Yeah.
watching Jennifer's Body, taking
Nice.
copious
Nice.
notes,
Right.
and just, it's overall pretty good.
Time spent wisely, I
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relaxing, recalibration. Yeah.
Are you reading anything good?
What am I reading?
Jennifer's Body.
I'm
The
not.
novelization.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not I guess Diablo Cody wrote in its original script, but I definitely would read a novelization of it.
It has the makings of a good book, for
It
sure.
could be.
Yeah. Side note, this is really random, read novelizations in high school of the Final Destination series.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just really sad because I got them from Borders, bought them with
Rest in
Coinstar
peace.
coins.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked it up, and now you can sell them on eBay for $300, and I'm mad that I gave them away.
Wow.
Why'd you do that? That's crazy. Who took them?
No, because I donated them.
Why Final Destination? Did you watch the movies or were you books
Oh.
only?
No, I loved the movies, and so I guess
it.
it was a natural, instead of reading fan fiction, I'll just read
Yeah.
novelization
Yeah.
of them.
Here's a question.
Yes.
People, there's a lot of books versus the movies,
Uh-huh.
like Harry Potter's, your Game of Thrones, whatever.
Yeah.
Final Destination. What do you think? What was adapted better, the movies or the books? I guess it's adapted from the movies, but anyway.
Yeah, I think the movies are better. If you just read it, it's just kind of like a R.L. Stein teen horror, which is good
fun.
too.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember it, but that just called to mind. I think Jennifer's Body definitely would have translated well as a novelization also.
It could be fun getting more insight with the characters, Needy and Jennifer,
Yeah.
too, because there's
Yeah.
definitely a
I mean,
lot
some
of
backstory
subtext with their
Yeah.
stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a lot of notes on
Well-
that dynamic.
Good, because I'm excited to
Yeah.
talk about it, because I did a lot of research about this movie before I watched it, because it kind of just was when it came out, it was kind of a dud. That's kind of the big narrative. It was just didn't hit. It was after Juno, and everyone kind of thought it was going to be this big follow-up for Diablo Cody, but it's kind of gotten the second wave as a cult feminist classic, right? I mean, that's kind of what
Yeah.
I've read a few places. But now that we've gotten those facts out of the way, let's get to the plot, I guess. How should we get into
Who wants to tackle the plot? The plot always scares me
Well-
in terms of having to regurgitate what you just watched.
I'll do as a quick one as possible. I feel like that's a good place
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah, okay.
So, Jennifer's Body, Jennifer, Needy, those are the main two characters. Chip is Needy's boyfriend. Jennifer is the archetypal hot girl. Needy is kind of the archetypal,
Needy.
less, the hot friend. And,
She's sweet. I liked Amanda
Yeah.
Seyfried as Needy.
Yeah.
She's great.
Classic
It
girl
kinda-
with glasses is not
For
as
sure.
attractive.
yes, all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, who's
It
that?
did feel
God.
like a Needy and Chip got ported from Juno into this movie. They kind of seem like
Really?
analogs of
Oh, interesting.
I got that complete throughout the whole movie.
All I could think about with Chip was Scott Pilgrim,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah,
he's such a
young Neil.
similar,
Young Neil.
so similar. But basically, a cool band comes into town. They're not big, but they're from the city, and they're all excited. They go to the show. There's a fire. The band kidnaps Jennifer. Essentially, they take her out to the middle of nowhere. Later,
Really
Needy
scary.
finds her, horrifying. Needy finds her, and she's bleeding, and she's demonic, and she's puking black stuff. And then the next day, Jennifer just pretends nothing happens. And so Jennifer starts hunting the boys in town. She starts seducing them. Everybody is attracted to her because she's that girl in the town. So it's very easy for her to just say a couple stupid things that don't make sense to all these guys, and they wander off. It's very sad.
She's very alluring. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of heartbreaking because a lot of the guys really don't deserve it. Like, arguably, definitely Ahmet didn't.
She targeted some easy guys.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Ahmet. That scene is like the saddest scene in the movie.
It's so sad.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, he didn't even get it. Did he even say a word? He didn't get any lines.
He just all he says is no. Nobody knows where I am. But he just confirms that he's like I think he knows what's up. But so she starts hunting these boys, and eventually she sets her sights on Chip, and that forces a conflict between Needy and Jennifer. Needy's been suspicious of her. She's been getting bad vibes already. Jennifer is like, in the movie, they call her insecure, but she wants everything that Needy has or wants. And so eventually she starts coming after Chip, and that forces them to like have their kind of frenemy battle come to a head, right? Fair enough?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Concise. That captures the whole plot of the movie.
And I love the way the movie sets it up too, where you're basically starting at the end of the movie and you pick up with Needy. I loved all that because I watched it twice. So I watched it yesterday, I watched it today. So you get to basically pick up on all these little keys throughout the whole movie, which I thought was a smart storytelling structure. It makes it a little bit more interesting because you're like, okay, like what am I gonna like? What's the rest of this movie gonna be like, basically?
I was just going to piggyback that a lot of the time it enhances the rewatchability of it because as she's sitting like it starts off with Needy in a cell. And so that something goes down. She gets pinned for something she doesn't necessarily do because she's framed as this like nice girl in the trailer, and just the overall dynamic of shy girl with glasses versus hot girl, no glasses dynamic. Watching that, you can see, like, you hear the music of the band.
Yeah, in the cell.
And it too, and I didn't even, like, realize that. And just the themes of her kind of being crucified, and that kind of ties into her mom having a dream of her own daughter being crucified as well.
I dreamed some bad people were trying to nail you to a tree with hammers and big stakes and shit. Just like JC. But I didn't let him get you because I'm a hard-ass, Ford-tough mama bear.
I can take care of myself.
Yeah, you say that. But one day you're going to be crying out for me and I'm not going to be there.
So it just like it all sets it up perfectly, and you can catch all those different Easter eggs no matter how many times you rewatch it. And I still like find new things like that, so it's really cool.
Even the part where like Needy like kicks an orderly, just like straight like kicks her across the room. You're just like, what is happening?
She's like, kick her, but
I also didn't realize the very first shot of the movie is Jennifer right before she gets killed at the end, and it sets it up though as though Amanda Seyfried is haunting Jennifer, and so like I feel like if you had no context, they were trying to set it up to have Amanda Seyfried look like the bad guy going into the beginning of the movie. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun and kind of a shame. Because I remember this also had scenes from the swimming pool in the marketing, which is the finale of the movie. And you know that she's like attacking Chip already going into the movie. So it's like, oh, Jennifer's the bad guy.
It is such a bummer too, like what you alluded to at the beginning, Kill, about just the marketing of this movie. Because I was looking at all the trailers for it, because I didn't watch this when it came out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I just, for whatever reason,
it didn't work.
Was it like a horror movie kind of thing?
Yeah, that, I mean, I wasn't like completely sold on Megan Fox. Like I was a big Transformers head. But that was more for Shia. I didn't even like Transformers. I went for Shia. I didn't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, this completely passed me by. But watching the marketing for this movie, it's completely like just uber sexualized Megan Fox, and that's exactly what the studio wanted. They're like, this is a movie directed for like 13, 15-year-old boys, and boys want to see Megan Fox coming like basically half naked out of like a lake, you know what I mean, like dripping wet. So it's such a shame because there's like, so like watching this now, you can see basically what the writer and director were like trying to do.
Yeah.
Like telling this story from the perspective of girls when it's kind of like it's always the other way around.
Yeah.
Like the man always hunts and kills the girl, where now the girl gets to basically be the aggressor.
Yeah. And I actually, a thing about the marketing, it actually, I have a bone to pick with it because the marketing did work on me. I thought it was this like male sexual fantasy romp about her being like a succubus where she like has sex with boys and then kills them. And so I thought it would be very like exploitative. And what this movie does so well, and that's because of how well Diablo Cody writes it and the care that Karen Kusama also like infuses with it, is that this is a movie for the female gaze, and that this was something that was marketed as like a commercial, mainstream, male-centric thing to digest, and the audience that who were drawn to that were kind of either repelled by it because they were seeing those themes and weren't ready to like parse it out, or B, that like maybe we weren't ready for like the female feminist or like very rageful undertones of this movie. And so, yeah, I just feel like when I first saw the trailers, I was like, I'm not watching that. And then literally a year later, you pick it up, especially when you're seeing it all over Tumblr, like how iconic is Hell as a Teenage Girl and seeing Megan Fox burn her tongue with a lighter. It's like, I gotta check it out. And then
that GIF was everywhere on Tumblr.
Everywhere.
I still see it on movie Instagram all the time.
It's iconic.
It truly is.
Yeah.
That her getting out of the lake, like those are like the two things I know of this movie.
Yeah, like put it on the Sistine Chapel. Sorry, Michelangelo. That like
freaking 2024 dog.
Iconic. But yeah.
I will say that Megan Fox is really good in this movie. I like I said, I was never really sold on her, but again, she's only sold as like a sexual. She's like basically like a Marilyn Monroe type, right? That's kind of what they try to frame her as. But I thought she was great, especially with all the I like Juno. I like Diablo Cody, but sometimes her dialogue can really just be very grating.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I like, it's kind of the opposite of Juno, where Juno's like very twee and just very like hipster. And then you have like the complete opposite, where it's just like this complete bitch who's very self-obsessed and just mean.
But mean girly.
Yeah, but she has like the exact dialogue, but there's just like an edge, like a venom tongue attached to it. I liked it. I thought it was great.
She's a little scary in this. When she's being mean, more terrifying. Scary than when she's the demon. When she's being like a mean, I'm like, this is giving me flashbacks to high school, man. This is this is hitting a sweet spot.
Oh, we had many Jennifers at our school.
Name names.
No, I can't.
Everybody. Wait.
Here's
really
the thing, though.
Can I jump in on the marketing really fast? Because the more when I watched it the second time, that really stood out to me how badly they mismarketed it, because like everything Victoria was saying exactly, and the huge irony, and I'm sure we'll get to this and get into more detail, but this movie is like 1,000% a commentary on like exploitation of women in entertainment and how men will use women and their bodies and their sexuality, and then the men get famous and make a bunch of big movies, and then the women are kind of disposable or treated that way, right? And that's like literally what happens with Jennifer, when we find out what the band did with her, it turns out,
And Adam Grody is Adam Grody.
I think he's Grody. He's Grody.
He's Grody in this. Freudian slip.
Yes,
but
it was.
Perfect cast.
He's so good and gross.
Such a good scumbag. You hate to see it, but you love to see it too. I mean, I loved him in this movie. I have so many notes on Low Shoulder. But
so
let's
Low
continue.
Shoulder, and real quick note on Low Shoulder. This is the second episode in a row we've had a big fictional band in our movie. Last week it was Stillwater. So that was fun to me. That was just kind of random.
Music has been playing a huge part.
Another music episode. Oh yeah, so just how crazy the irony that they exploited Megan Fox and her sexuality and body to market a movie that's about that. And maybe they were like, well, we got to get people in the seats so they can get the message. But it definitely didn't work in any way.
It's depressing, especially because I was listening to an interview after the fact. I think this was at least a couple years ago, but it was with Diablo Cody and Megan Fox. And Diablo was saying that basically to get the studio off their backs, they showed them the clip of Megan Fox when she's wearing like the pink striped jacket and the hoops, and she's walking very like sensually down the school hallway. They just showed them that, and they're like, "Perfect, we love it. Keep doing what you're doing." I don't know. It's really, really. Movies are bad, I think. Movie making is awful.
Another thing about the marketing is there was a tactic where they wanted to have Megan Fox go on cam sites and talk about the movie on amateur porn sites. And Karen Kusama rightly shot it down and decided to shield Megan from it because she would just be completely disheartened because, again, they underestimate, just like Jennifer, they underestimate Megan Fox's talent because, yes, she's hot, but she's also really funny. She delivers lines with such, like, wonderful, like, bimbo-ness that is in complete reverence. And not everyone can pull that off, to be scary and vulnerable and funny and bitchy. And
absolutely.
It just, that was like, oh, again, another way that the industry or marketing execs just didn't understand this movie and perpetuate the themes that this movie really just calls out.
Yeah, that scene when the band takes her into the van and she's just like so scared, and you're like, this like she's so good. It's crazy.
And that's so messed up too, because they started the fire to create a distraction, right?
I was gonna ask about that. I did not know
that, but I never saw it was confirmed.
It seems like they know what's going on because they're not reacting to it.
Because they immediately grab Jennifer too. That's like the first thing they do is like, all right, let's get out of here. They're not worried at all.
Do we think that's proof of like their demon power? Like the first signs that it's like working?
I didn't know if they were demons or just like agents. Like they're just like their agent is Satan, which I was like kind of hoping that like Satan would be like in like a tuxedo or something, like literally their agent, their music manager. But yeah, I couldn't. I'm watching the movie right now and I'm coming up on that scene and they just seem like whatever. Also, this is like fires or like some type of stampede in like a small venue was like my nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Like that, like you like hear about like clubs like getting like an electrical fire and like people are just like crushed or like it's awful. Anyway,
no, it's a terrifying. That scene's really disturbing on a lot of levels because also
really bad.
3 or 4 people die in the fire, right? So it's like a small town and they die, and then Chris immediately, like the next day.
Pratt.
Oh, sorry, no, yeah. Oh my God, Chris Pratt.
Jump scare.
I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah,
we can get into Chris Pratt.
No, I like talking about this scene because
cool.
This scene is like you get the intro of the band of Low Shoulder. I don't even know who they're trying to be the analog of. It's just like those like early or like late 2000s kind of
generic indie band.
But they look like they just got a Hot Topic. Yeah, like they're all black.
Yeah, it's definitely like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco type of vibe.
Yes. They kind of look like The Bravery. I was going to say The Bravery. Remember The Bravery?
Adam Brody said his inspiration for his rock star was Brandon Flowers from The Killers.
Oh, yeah.
And the second performance, 100%. When they come back and he's famous, he's straight up ripping off like Brandon Flowers. Like if you watch Brandon Killers music videos, the way he's like leaning on the mic and stuff is like, so he definitely...
He looks like him too.
He pulls the look off. He does look good.
He's good in this movie.
Yeah, he is.
I love Adam Brody.
It worked on me.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is fun. So Jennifer disappears. The band very shadily takes her off in their band van.
That scene is so scary because they get out of the fire. And then Adam Brody shows up with like a drink, and he's like basically forcing it down. Megan's like, "You need to drink this.
Okay, this one's in shock. Great. Are you in shock? Nah.
Let's go, Jennifer!
Let's go to the van.
I want to go to your really cool van. Nene, let's go see his van. Why? Why should we? We have the Sebring. Let's just get out of here. Let's go to El Ojo and get some Northwoods nachos with extra badger sauce. Please, I'm starving. Nene, stop it. Just shut up.
And to escape the fire, you have to go into a scary van. And it's like, well, you're kind of, you have no safe place to go. But it is Adam Brody, so maybe.
Well, she does say, Needy, like, let me go with them and everything. But it's especially scary because Needy's right there. It's not like Jennifer got like taken off alone in a corner and they didn't realize. she's like with somebody and they still just grab her and like pull her off. Very disturbing. The next day, the band is on the radio and their single is blowing up now because of this fire and all these stories.
I love that song.
Victoria, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, when it first came on, I was like, this shit, what the fuck is this? And then literally like the people in this movie, it like became my anthem. Like it was like stuck in my head through the whole day. And I'm like, the song slaps. This is a bop. It
really does.
All the above. So good.
And what I love about the song, in the same way that like in every movie, there's that trope where there's like a high school lesson and whatever lesson the teacher's talking about directly alludes to the plots that are happening in the movie. That's exactly what happens with like this anthem, like Through the Trees.
Yeah.
This like imagery of the woods, and just, you can even see it from, if you read the lyrics or listen to the song, that's going to be on my Spotify Wrapped.
I was going to say
it's from like Needy's point of view, which is like really cool.
Interesting.
I love it.
But yeah, definitely take another listen. I don't need to remind you because you're probably a bit queued up.
Yeah, I have the lyrics printed out already.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's so many kids in Glendora that would like love Low Shoulder. Like I could not escape that. Real quick, there's a very funny joke so the town this movie set in is Devil's Kettle.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
And when Adam Brody, when he's like, how's it going, Devil's Creek? And then someone
Devil's
says,
Lake.
Devil's Lake. And someone's like, Devil's Kettle. And he's like, fucking right it is.
Good evening, Devil's Lake.
Devil's Kettle.
Fucking A right it is.
Again, he's so funny in this.
That's good.
And that's another smart, I don't know if they had any involvement with the casting, but if we think about the era of 2008 or like 2007 when it came out 2009, so they probably filmed in 2008. Like who Adam Brody was to teenage girls during that era. Like we had him in the OC and like Dave from Gilmore Girls. Like, of course, that is just like perfect casting to have like your dream indie rock boy. And you would, like, even when the signs are like, don't get into the van, like, he's just so charming and such a douchebag way. You would follow him anywhere, of course. Like, it doesn't matter if he's like practicing the occult. That makes him cooler. Wear the eyeliner.
He has a neck tattoo. So, yes,
he has a neck
obviously.
Yes. It's funny. It's a moon tattoo. I also have a moon tattoo. I said, let's.
On your neck?
Not on my neck, like on my back, but.
Same difference.
They knew what they were doing when they put Adam Brody in that role.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's also very concerned about Jennifer being a virgin, which at first you think they want her to not be a virgin. And so
which is so gross too when you don't realize the implications of it. You're like, that's fucking disgusting.
It's horrifying how either way could be the creepy thing.
Hey,
that's my best friend that you're talking about. And you're right, she is a virgin. And that beats sleeping with creeps like you.
And so they both convince these guys that she's a virgin. Needy does it because she thinks that's going to help save Jennifer before she even gets kidnapped. And then again in the van, that's a key detail for later. So the band's blowing up. Needy hears them on the radio and she's like kind of already pissed off about it because she knows they're lying. They say they helped out and they didn't and everything.
They also said like they're gonna play a tribute show and they're like 3%. Yeah, 3% of proceeds will go to help the victims. And it's like, what about the 97%?
I love how that one girl in the class is already like a low shoulder stand, and she's like yelling at Needy for questioning anything.
I loved her.
3% of the profits will go to local families who have been affected by loss.
What about the other 97%? I mean, that's just crass, right? It means greedy. Exploitative, scummy.
Low Shoulder are American heroes?
No, they're not. I was there, Chastity. They didn't help anybody escape the fire. I don't even know how that rumor got started.
Rumor? Rumor? It's true. It's on their Wikipedia.
We wouldn't even know who they were if they hadn't been playing that night. They used us.
You take that back, Needy Les, Nikki.
Girls.
We need them now more than ever.
That's enough.
and who she was in Juno.
I was gonna say yes, exactly, Victoria.
It tracks. I was like, you would.
she's the pro-lifer in Juno, and then she's kind of this low shoulder like band-aid apologist.
She's the one that was like tripping on something playing in a fountain too before she was a pro-lifer, wasn't she? Isn't that like a joke in Juno?
Something like that, maybe.
It's a wise choice, because I knew this girl, she had this like crazy freak out because she took too many behavioral meds at once, and she just like ripped off her clothes and dove into the fountain at Ridgedale Mall and was like, I am a kraken from the sea.
I heard that was you.
She has a line early on that's really funny that I can't remember.
Something about lesbians. I don't know.
She said, "You're being totally lesbigay."
Lesbigay.
Which, I mean, she's not wrong if we want to talk about the idea, the tricky, not even tricky, the complex dynamic between.
Yeah, we can start getting into the dynamic between Needy and Jennifer. Yeah, do you want to?
No, yeah. Well, basically, I think at a very surface level, again, they are painted as like polar opposites, right? Again, Jennifer's super hot, Needy's super not, even though she is gorgeous. But basically, like, there is that dynamic in female friendships where you're kind of competitive at a certain point. Their codependency isn't so much as like between good and evil, even though the audience thinks it's painted in that way, but there is deep love there because it's established that they've known each other since they were super young. But again, like female friendships in a world that's like dominated by men, you have like no choice but to vie for the attention of men, and so that kind of naturally pits them against each other. So, but beyond that, you can definitely see with scenes of Jennifer telling Needy like, "You're all I have," and it's that moment
she doesn't feel like safe with her.
Yeah, like
that's why they stick. Cause the whole movie, I was like, why is she still friends with her? Like the Jennifer character, I was like, ditch this loser and go with the boozer or whatever.
Yeah, and you can argue like she kind of has Needy around to make her feel
absolutely
secure because she is deeply insecure. But again, there's moments where, again, like if we talk about their kissing scene, which is just wow, interesting. Yeah,
I have a lot of notes on this.
It's weird. People, you're still rewatching it now this whole time, but anyway.
Yeah, it's in the background.
But yeah, there's like deep love there, and it's just like a perfect embodiment about this coming of age with like early friendships that you have that are really deep, and then maybe kind of exploring like your own sexuality amidst this. But
no, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's just like that's just female friendships are like, girls are complicated. This is let's work it out on the remix. Just listen to Charlie XCX and Lorde. Like that is the Needy and Megan dynamic, and so they're very complicated. There's love, there's jealousy, there's rage and competitiveness that they experience. So
yeah, as a simpleton guy, I would say like it's honestly also just as like it's just for in Needy's perspective, you just like being around people that make you feel cool.
Yeah,
like there's just like some energy that they radiate that you're just like, I'm attracted to that, I'm gonna hang out with this person.
She gets like collateral attention, I'm sure.
Exactly, even if they kind of treat you like
less than yeah, totally.
It's not as for guys, it's not as deep. It's just like, you know,
more about football and stuff.
Yeah, it's just hanging with the bros.
Real quick on Needy and Jennifer's relationship, it's established very early on, and this is something the second time that really stood out to me, and I was like, interesting. They kind of have like a psychic connection, or at least Needy has a psychic connection with Jennifer.
Yeah,
there's multiple times throughout the movies. I tried to list a few examples, but the first time is she knows Jennifer's at her house. She's talking to Chip, and she goes, "Jennifer's here."
Jennifer's here.
How do you know?
Needy, quit tampooning yourself and get down here.
That's fucking weird.
And so they clearly have something deeper than just like a friendship. Like there is like a deep, either it's spiritual or psychological or
it's a sandbox friendship. Those don't go away. I was confused about that. I don't know if you're going to get into this, Caleb, but like they also show they go back to that sandbox scene in the later flashback where Jennifer's like hand gets pricked and then Needy sucks the blood out. I was like, that's weird. But is that to imply that, like, what was that for? Can someone explain that to me?
Well, I feel like in that scene, it kind of further reinforces that, like, Needy, who has just experienced this interaction with Jennifer when she comes back after becoming a demon, and then it shows her like crying, cleaning up Jennifer's mess. She like wants to fix her. She wants to like heal her. And even at the end, I don't know if we want to get to the end yet, but like her her kind of exacting this revenge that has been exacting revenge in the name of Jennifer, because Jennifer has been hurt. And so in certain ways, she hates to see her friend be wounded, be kind of done wrong in a certain aspect. And so it just shows like Needy's kind of caring nature. And I believe there's a low shoulder line where he goes, "I will heal you." Like if we had to bring it back to low shoulder there, but I think that is what I gleaned from that sandbox interaction, along with the other sandbox interactions of like, again, just Megan absolutely dominating Needy. And it is interesting that Jennifer, I keep calling her Megan, but like exhibiting these traits, like masculine traits. And that's another really interesting thing that the movie explores too.
Yeah. Man, yeah, their friendship is super interesting because there's another aspect I thought was interesting. So another thing they have is their BFF necklaces, and multiple times there's like close-ups, very like kind of long close-ups of their necklaces. I think once when Jennifer's saying sandbox relationships don't die, it shows one of the necklaces. If we want to get to the end when Needy's getting her revenge, the thing that really breaks the spell that Jennifer's under is when she pulls off the BFF necklace. There's a long slow-mo shot of it flying through the room and landing on the floor. And so I know that's like super, I think it symbolically represents their friendship and, you know, the fact that Needy really was saying like, I realize this is unhealthy and I'm moving on. But also it seems it literally also gave her some kind of power, in my opinion.
No, I see that. And I probably that necklace too is a thread to Jennifer's humanity, right? Like the reason why she only like kills boy. And I hate that they cut this. This was something that was in the trailer where it's like Needy confronts Jennifer and she's like, "You're killing people." And she's like, "No, Needy, I'm just killing boys."
Nice. "You're killing people." "No, I'm killing boys."
And so I think, again, another thread of Jennifer's humanity is the way that she can identify and like kind of spare girls, because there is a collective shared understanding of the dangers that men pose towards women.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She's a girl's girl.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
She's a succubus, man.
Yeah.
Praise on the men,
Yeah. But it is interesting though. I did want to talk about her victims because we did pose this. Like these guys that she preys on do exhibit traits that aren't necessarily like typically masculine or douchebaggy. All of these guys that she preys on, whether it's like the football player, Colin Gray, and then potentially Chip, are all very like sensitive. She preys on them in moments of being very like fragile and sensitive. And again, like to tie it back to flipping the narrative of Jennifer kind of essentially becoming the monster that has been exhibited on her, that she's kind of now the predator and the men are the prey, fragile. Like even Chip's mom gives him pepper spray, right? She's like, "There's a creep killing people. Don't go out on the loose."
Ladies, pepper spray.
There's obviously a sicko out there who likes boys.
I can take care of myself. I've been using the Bowflex.
Yeah, so I think that was just really interesting. I don't know if you guys had any thoughts or like clock that all the men like in the movie weren't exactly like necessarily deserving to be killed.
It's true, and the only one that exhibited any like masculine energy, Chris Pratt's character dies
Yeah.
like right away. Like Craig, the football player, is very emotional.
Yeah.
Colin Gray is just like the goth kind of
Sensitive.
awkward, sensitive, which
Dark
also made it.
I felt so bad.
Yeah,
for
which also
Colin
made
Gray,
it
dude.
really.
That was a sad one.
It
too.
made me so when Colin goes to meet her for this date, and he's like so amped up, and he's in the car. That made me so upset because
I
I'm
relate
like,
to that. I've been in the car singing when you're going to a party or you're going home from something, a date, or
yeah.
That was like such a real high school feeling that I connected to.
Well, also that, but all the victims truly were like at the end of like they didn't. There was no part in the movie that showed them.
Being
doing
dicks,
anything
yeah,
worthwhile.
Yeah,
exactly. Worthwhile of being killed. They didn't even
Right.
represent like toxic masculinity or the like anything. Because
Right.
even the football player, where it's like, oh, it's a football player. When they introduce him after his friend dies, because in the fire, Chris Pratt was the guy he's sad about, right?
There was another football
There's another
player.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he was at the bar.
So his like best friend football player dies, and he's literally just standing in a field staring at all the kids like walking around the school.
Yeah.
And it's like emo punk, like metal, like hard rock screamo song playing, but he's just like literally standing there like almost about to like cry.
Like
Yes.
mournfully. Yeah. So wait, the guy that dies, Craig, that's not the same guy at the bar that says swing and a miss?
It's not because
They look the same.
That's they allude that that's his best friend, but what I think is that they're secretly gay lovers. Because
that makes so much sense.
Because if we think about what Melody Lane is supposed to like represent is like America, small town values, and it coming up in flames is this like corruption of rock and roll, sex, women, and foreigners. And so I feel like in this small town, that was like the only way for them to see some glimpse of like the city life, right? And as like Chris Pratt likes to say about Low Shoulder, like total
Fagos.
Oh God.
Sorry, I didn't know why I said it. I felt just too comfortable saying it.
Sorry,
you didn't actually say the word. This was like Diablo Cody vernacular, so it's safe.
Clown posse for
You're
life.
talking about the beverage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of how I saw that scene. And him doubly grieving because he, like Needy, hasn't really come to terms with his own sexuality and with his best friend, right?
They're almost like foils of them and Jennifer, like in a way, foils of him and Jennifer. Maybe they had a little bit of a confusing dynamic as well, possibly. And
which is why he's so torn up.
That's such a good read of the subtext, and that's why it's not just his best friend. It was like, that makes so much sense.
I will say, I'm at the scene where they're making out, and he's into it. This football player.
Yeah, which is fine.
You can go both
just the same way that
absolutely. No, I'm viewing it now through Victoria's lens. So I'm like seeing if there's any pullback.
Right.
But he's leaning into it anyway. But I like that. It's interesting. Now all the animals came.
Oh yeah, the reverse Snow White. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Also very much like Twilight. I think it came out like in the same era as well. And so I think again they tried to market this as like Twilight for guys.
And there's a few references to I think Twilight and also Juno, because the band is like, how are we this is much later in the movie, so I'll save it. But how do we get famous without being on like some stupid soundtrack for like a dumb like teenager movie or something like that? So Jennifer starts killing. She's eating people. We kind of learn that she needs to be eating to have energy.
Satiated, or else right. Man, that scene when she doesn't eat and then she putting all the makeup on her face.
Yeah.
It tore me up inside. That's so depressing.
Every girl has had that, I'm sure.
Right.
Experience that looking into the mirror and just having that mental breakdown a little bit. But
honestly, I did too. I remember. I was gonna say breaking out and like, Mom, I need your cover up ASAP. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that speaks to it's such a testament to Megan Fox's talent in that moment, right? Because it's like when she doesn't eat, she gets ugly for her, which is a hilarious line that Needy says. And then you see her in that mirror and you really see like this girl who's so confident is just like so fragile at a certain point. And I think that scene really, she delivers that so well in that scene.
And on her vanity or her like desk, there's pictures of her, just like portraits of her looking beautiful. Yeah. So it is like the one thing that she cares most about is being taken away.
Yeah, that's great.
That reminded me of something else. So when Jennifer first gets back, like you guys were talking about, and Needy's like, hey, like, you don't look so good. They're walking down the hall and they're talking. And I think Needy says something about asking her if she's PMSing or something like that. And then Jennifer says, PMS isn't real, Needy. It was invented by the boy run media to make us seem like we're crazy.
Are you PMSing or something?
PMS isn't real, Needy. It was invented by the boy run media to make us seem crazy.
And that just cracked me up so much. Because recently we watched Almost Famous, and there's a very similar line in Almost Famous where the mom says that adolescence is a marketing tool. This is random, but we've talked a lot about her eating Colin, the pop punk emo kid. That's one of my favorite shots in the whole movie when they show the reveal. So there's like a silhouette of her eating the guy. At the same time, Chip and Needy are having sex for the first time. They're both losing their virginity. It's super cute and awkward and, you know, kind of perfect in like that cute way. But she kills the guy and it comes back to her. She's eating him and she's literally like crouched over him, pooling up blood like it's water from like a lake and drinking it out of his like stomach cavity like it's a big bowl. And that was like slurping. Yes, that was like such a cool scene because there's so many movies of people eating, like people being eaten or like their blood being drank. Like that's such a common horror movie trope. And I don't think I've ever seen that. Like that felt just like very original to me and very impactful. Like that's probably these last two times the image that like will stick with me the most is just her drinking the guy's blood out of his stomach. It was awesome. It was very cool.
And it's so interesting too that you mentioned that. It's the main reason I thought it would be rated R is because it would have like very explicit sex scenes, but Megan Fox doesn't have sex at all in this movie.
True.
Like the only sex scene is this awkward, Needy, very sweet thing with Needy. And in this, it really is just probably just the gore and the language that would warrant the R. But I think that's another like probably marketing tactic that they thought people would just assume it would just be full of sex. But I just thought that was a very interesting choice that she doesn't have sex at all in this film, and maybe in certain ways does emphasize she's kind of like a virgin, but not really. But you don't see her sexualized in that way.
Yeah, and we have no proof that she isn't a virgin still. Like she could just be, you know, playing a part that she feels like she has to in the town. Kind
I think
of.
she. Okay, I took it as she was, especially in the van.
Are you even sure she's a fucking virgin, man?
Yes, I'm a virgin. I've never even done sex. I don't know how. So, you guys should find somebody who does know how.
Peter, I told you, man. You owe me a beer.
I think she definitely wasn't.
I don't think she was either, but we don't ever actually, like Victoria said, like the movie we see. But the Chris Pratt thing is so funny too, because he's actually like from around where I live now. And how he is in this movie is how I imagine he actually is in real life. Because that's the vibe of.
That's why I wrote my notes. I'm like, he is in this movie. He is what he is now.
That's like probably real Chris Pratt, kind of an asshole.
This
feels funny.
I don't know. Did you guys know where this was shot? It's very Washington. I don't know. It looks like, and also there's like a Devil's something in Washington State too. I don't know if it's like Devil's Creek or something. Oh, never mind. No, it's Minnesota. I'm looking.
I was gonna say I think it was Midwest.
Yeah.
I thought it definitely gave off Washington because again, I thought they were trying to go for the Forks Twilight vibe.
I did get excited and I was like, oh, this was totally filmed around us. Like, I think I recognize this. I've been here. I'm pretty sure I've been here. Like, no.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Yeah. Definitely big time like Twilight influence and definitely like a satire of those type of movies too in a lot of ways. Like there's definitely like a lot of like horror and like teen coming of age satire like as well. It's like a really well written movie. Like I get if people don't like the aesthetic or they don't like get into the characters, but it is like so much detail and clearly so much time was put in thinking about what's happening and like why, which is like obvious, but like Victoria, you said earlier, it's like super rewatchable and really rewarding on a rewatch. And that's always a sign people put a lot of effort into like packing in details that might not pay off the first time, but would reward like rewatch. So Diablo Cody, again, I get if you don't like her, like this movie had a little, I wish she didn't do any of the cute dialogue in this. Like it almost felt like forced to me. Like it was like, oh, I'm the Juno. This is like Juno too. I have to have like a little bit of like people saying funny stuff like Fago and stuff. And that line was yeah, but
it's your favorite line? What?
No.
You say it in real life now?
I just said ICP, dude. I'm talking about the soda.
But like hearing it through the vessel that is Megan Fox, I don't know. It was irritating and a little grating, but again, I think she just pulled it off so well.
She did. It wasn't bad, but the point was she's almost like better than that stuff. Like this movie could have stood easily on its own without any like kind of cutesy like humor, in my opinion. It didn't hurt it at all, but more just to say how good her writing is. Really, like she's a good writer, and it's a shame her career has like been. It's interesting how this movie kind of tanked all of the women's careers who worked in it, which not exactly, but it was definitely like a big halt in Diablo Cody's career. Because after Juno, she was like huge, which is like so ironic and horrible. Like it's kind of like a tragedy in a way.
She did work with Jason Reitman a couple times though, because they did Juno together.
But that was Juno's before this.
No, I know after the fact though. She did. A couple movies with
Tully and Easy A or something. Was that the other one?
Young Adult has also
Young
been
Adult.
great. Yeah. And actually just recently she came out with Lisa Frankenstein, which I really enjoyed. And again, that is like, if you love Jennifer's Body, like watching Lisa Frankenstein in high school, like it's the same impact, and watching it now, I get it. She just is perfect and creating female coming of age horror genre, horror comedy type of movies. So I definitely think that's her wheelhouse.
So as we're working through, Jennifer's eating people at this point, and this is where the movie gets like a little hazy for me, because at this point she like she's eating people, and then eventually she just kind of gets to Chip more or less, right? Or is there some inciting moment I'm forgetting?
There's this scene again, there's where they kiss, right? So
they also give you the backstory about basically what happened to Jennifer in the van.
Oh yes, that's right.
We can talk about that.
Yeah. So we find out that Low Shoulder again are agents of Satan, and to make it as an indie band in this country, you really do have to use all the tools in your toolbox. So they choose to recruit Satan. They sacrifice her. Oh, this is why she's not a virgin, by the way. So when they sacrifice her, and they do end up sacrificing her, something I don't remember.
Oh, right.
Because she's not a virgin, basically she like imbues the powers of like the devil or whatever. So that's basically why she's able to do all the things that she is. Yeah, so they leave her for dead, and then they end up becoming successful anyway, the band. But you do get the insight of her in the van, her like telling the band that, like basically trying to plead for her life, which is really, really awful. It's actually probably my least favorite part of the movie, just because it's really dark and she's very good in it. But yeah, it's just, I don't really know. It helps the story gain that point of view, but it made me very uncomfortable. So yeah, you get the backstory, and then you also get the moment where Needy and Jennifer kiss each other. It's very cool.
And one of the like most disturbing parts of the murder scene is they realize her name is Jenny, and they connect it to the 8675309 song.
Yes.
And so they start singing it to her and like dancing.
So dark.
Like I don't like to say like guy or girl things, but it's such a guy thing to like have a big group of guys just start singing a song like together, and like totally indifferent to if anybody else in the room is like annoyed by that. And it was such a great horrible representation of that.
It felt like a horror movie.
Yeah, right before they stab her in the stomach.
Yeah.
With a Bowie knife. Bowie, nice.
We deliver this virgin unto thee.
Dude, that is a hot murder weapon. Bowie knife. Bowie. Nice.
All right, here we go. It's gonna be gnarly.
No, please. No, please.
Wait a second. I just thought of something. Jenny. Jenny, you're the girl for me. You don't know me, but you make me so happy. I tried to call you before, but I lost my nerve. I used my imagination, but I was disturbed. Jenny, I got your number. I need to make you mine. Jenny, don't change your number.
Bowie.
Yes.
Well, again, it's like it's almost like that scene in Barbie where all the Kens are serenading the Barbies,
Yeah.
and so it really just captures that horror of kind of being held hostage to unwanted singing,
Right.
amongst other things that happen in that scene. But I think also another really great thing is that he just printed out the chant from just online.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
like a
funny.
great relic of like 2009 too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like printing up the
things.
lyrics. Yeah. Just using a printer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so basically Jennifer tells Needy the whole story about basically how she was able to come back and everything. And then you see is it Ahmed? You see her, she's basically like his first victim. And that's why she was covered in blood.
Yeah.
And when she finds out, this is when she tells Chip, like, hey, this is what's happening with Jennifer. We can't be together right now or else she'll come after you. So that's basically how there's like the inciting part where they're no longer, she's like basically pushing him away.
And Chip doesn't take it well. Chip's pretty hurt. He doesn't
He's
really
very hurt,
buy
yeah.
it.
And which makes him easy prey for
Yeah,
Jennifer
sets
because
it
again
up.
she captures these guys in moments of vulnerability,
Exactly,
right? He's
yeah.
very like wounded after this kind of getting pushed away by Needy, and in the same way that Jennifer preys on Chip, in the same way that she preys on Colin because Needy wants him. It's that competitive nature again. At a certain point, like, why do they have the attention of Needy? She's kind of like the beta friend, right? Like, why don't they like me? And now she's trying to like,
Why would anybody choose Needy over me?
yeah, Needy over me. And so she needs herself to be validated in who she is by going after these guys, by preying on them.
Yeah. When they had their real confrontation, Needy does call her out and she's like, I think you're just insecure. Like, that's why you're always trying to get after my people.
Yeah. When she's hovering and Chip goes, she's flying. And then Needy goes, she's just hovering.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big of a deal.
She can fly.
She's just hovering. It's not that impressive.
God, do you have to undermine everything that I do? You are such a player hater.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Chip is so funny in that scene when he's just getting like, he's like bleeding out and being like thrown around like a rag doll. There's a few faces he makes that are hilarious.
Johnny Simmons is so good in this role. I mean, again, it's very like Michael Cera. It's just he's the same guy in every movie that this and Scott Pilgrim, but he's so endearing and you love him. So him dying at the very end, it was very crushing. I did not anticipate that at all.
Yeah, that was messed up. Jennifer gets to him eventually, but we'll get to that because we are at so they made out immediately after that. There's like 15 seconds of kissing, and Needy's like, no, like something's wrong. I can't believe you're eating like the guys at our school, and like at that point they are at odds with each other, right? And so Needy is broken up with Chip, like we talked about, and now he is like kind of mad at Needy. He's vulnerable, he's sad. Jennifer now is fully after Chip, and that's like her goal. And so the big finale comes to prom night, right? I mean, we're kind of there, or is there some I missed?
No, it's basically a huge dance, and Needy basically figures out like, oh, this is like a feast for Jennifer.
And that's when Chip's mom gives him the pepper spray, the pink pepper. Yeah, so she's there and she thinks she sees Jennifer, but it's not her. And then her psychic connection kicks in with Jennifer, and she realizes that she is attacking Chip. So immediately she takes off. Jennifer finds Chip walking to prom alone through the woods when there's high school boys being eaten. Come on, Chip. And Jennifer comes
also wearing
along.
a scarf with a suit.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the costumes at some point.
Yes, we can.
But yeah, he's wearing a scarf, like a Harry Potter scarf too.
Yeah. And just pitch black alone in this huge field with trees. So Jennifer convinces him to come with her at that point, or does he just say no?
She says, Jennifer says that she tells a lie that Needy and Colin had been hooking up.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And then Colin's devastated.
Yeah.
Or Chip's devastated. Colin is an idiot.
Colin's dead.
Yeah, that's right. He's a dead idiot.
Rest in peace.
So she Megan Fox takes him to this empty, abandoned indoor pool. They start making out, and then what breaks Chip, which is a really interesting moment, it's Jennifer's like, say that I'm better than Needy. And he's like, wait, why? He's like, why? Like, I'll make out with you. She broke, but like, I'm not going to compare you guys.
Say I'm better than Needy.
What? Why?
And then Jennifer's like, all right, fine. And she starts eating him, basically. She takes a big, like right away, she takes a big bite out of his neck, I think. Needy runs in. She leaps into the pool. When she runs in and Jennifer turns and looks at Needy coming in the window, that's the Chip face. That's my favorite. If anybody watches the movie after they listen to this, watch his face. And then they kind of duke it out, right? Like, it's like the full on, it's finally, they're finally getting out all of this like tension that's been building between them.
Chip ends up defeating her. He stabs her with the broken pool thing. But he has this line that Chip does at the very end that just crushes you. Where he's like, he's basically, hold on, it's coming up. He's like, I think I already died before you got here, but I woke up when I heard your voice. It's like very sad, very sincere. He's so good in this movie.
I'm going somewhere.
No, you're not going anywhere. No.
Yes, I am. I think I already died before you got here, but I woke up when I heard your voice.
I love you.
I love you too.
That made me cry. And Amanda Seyfried has such a good cry face too. This is really like, yeah.
She has those big anime eyes. They're doe eyes. They're so
huge
expressive.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but is that the first time they say I love you to each other at the end when he's dying? I don't know if I like caught it that they said it at all throughout the movie, which makes it all the more
let's say it is.
Let's say it is. Yeah.
If you haven't
if
noticed
they did, it didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time they meant it. But then finally after that, we get to the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
where
back to where we started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so then Needy is going full Buffy at this point, and she's hunting demons, right? Like she's just like she gets the suit up scene, which is awesome, and she gets ready, and then she goes into Jennifer's room, and they fight again. Jennifer hovers, and they fight in the air for a little while, and it's a really fun scene, and then Needy grabs the BFF necklace, pulls it, and it breaks, and that kind of breaks.
Before that,
go ahead.
Sorry, before that, you see Jennifer bite Needy, which is like a big deal, especially for the end part. But yeah, you see like a visible bite mark.
And the box cutter, again, another throwback to like queer undertones, right? Literal box cutter, but also like X marks Needy. And she even said, she's like, you even get your weapons at Home Depot. Like,
do you buy all your murder weapons at Home Depot?
God, you bunch.
That's a line that you start the movie too, like X, what is it?
X marks Needy, and they get marked as X going into Melody Lane also. So that's just like, again, another like callback payoff that Diablo Cody does really well when she weaves all these little Easter eggs that you find, motifs in there. So
yeah, that's awesome. I actually was not sure why she drew the X on her. I thought maybe it was something to do with killing a demon, but that makes total sense. I knew they had said the line, but I couldn't tell if there was something else I missed,
Yeah, me too. I had to read about that. It's like, interesting. I wonder what the X symbolizes. This is why we need Victoria on, because she picks up on the things that I didn't notice.
Thank you.
It's also very fun. Yeah.
And Gay Colin.
Wait, say again?
Which one was the gay football player that you Craig. Gay Craig.
It's probably the English major coming out, like, of just being like, these things aren't random. These details are very like intentional. And so I think Diablo Cody, just every kind of line and vernacular that she uses is definitely she has meaning behind it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like what, that's good writing is you don't waste any words or any actions and everything's driving to something, either character or plot. But she's very good. Like Juno is incredibly rewatchable too. I haven't been able to watch it in like 10 years because I watched it too many times in high school. But very rewatchable movie. So they fight and then she breaks the spell. They're falling. And also keep interrupting me if there's things you guys want to stop on.
Oh, when she stabs her, my tit.
My tit. No, your heart.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Literally. That just reminds me of just like any interaction, like in school, if you like got hit by a ball or like accidentally hit somebody, you just go, ow, my tit. Like,
yeah.
She's like, no, your heart. And you're like, oh, right. Like, that's actually a really tender moment, right? And you don't even, it kind of breaks through that facade of.
Boobs are sensitive, though.
Yeah.
Like she gets it.
Another ironic thing with the marketing of this movie, like Needy is easily the main character. Like Jennifer is like the exciting Joker kind of wild card that comes in, but this movie's about Needy and Chip, but mainly Needy and Jennifer. So it's just extra crazy that Jennifer becomes like the cover character and like the focus of the trailer, because it's like blatantly wrong for the movie. Like it's purpose. Like they knew they were wrong when they that they were mismarketing the movie. There's no way you could know that.
And in a cheerleader outfit too. And if we
She's
want to
not
be
even
like
a cheerleader, right?
Yeah, I was like,
flag girl.
She's a flag girl.
That is some bullshit. That is some bullshit.
Yeah. It's a distinction. There wasn't. I was in high school.
Absolutely. I love the flag girls.
Flag girls were the cool ones.
Yes.
Yeah. They were down to earth. Like they were the ones that you could talk to. The flag girls.
They were.
Yeah.
Cheerleaders, huge bitches.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I didn't know. I don't even remember who was a cheerleader. So that pretty much takes us to the end of the movie, except there is one more fun sequence. Okay, so she kills Jennifer. Actually, there's a little more. The mom comes in. That's like a really disturbing scene to me too.
Yeah.
How do you explain that? But she was totally justified in killing her.
Also, wait, so does she die because they do the slow motion of the necklace being pulled off? Are we supposed to understand that taking the necklace off made her, like, how is she dead? She's a succubus. Are they immortal?
She stabs her in the heart. That's why it's so significant.
Right. I thought it was the tit. My bad. Sorry.
No, it actually was like below the tit. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Girls aren't just tits, Ian. They have a heart. I'm joking.
No.
You don't need to tell me. I know.
But yeah, I think that's where she read in the
occult book, right?
The occult book from the occult section of the library.
I also love the page she comes on to where it's demon sacrifice or a sacrifice of a virgin for demonic like blessing or something like that.
Right.
That's like just a page in her book. It's like, oh, there it is. That was the one. That was it. That was the movie.
Yeah.
So that I guess we kind of didn't drive home the main point of, I don't know if we did, Low Shoulder. They did it to get famous. That was the whole point that right. Did we make that totally clear? So at this point, they're famous. Like Jennifer is defeated and Needy kind of won her battle. Chip's dead. Rest in peace. Lots of good people lost in this movie.
I like in this movie too, like you can hear background, like in the radios, you hear the progression of Low Shoulder too, as the movie like goes along.
Yeah. I wonder too if like, and this is just my theory, that maybe they weren't like paragons of the devil. Like that ritual didn't work. It was because of the tragedy of the fire and their ability to be so
Oh, yeah.
omnipresent within it was the way that they were able to shoot to fame because of everyone's like grotesque fascination with this tragedy and them being
Right.
at the center of it. They had
And
nothing to
framing themselves as
do.
heroes too, where they took
Yeah.
an opportunity to like get ahead of the PR. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And
Also,
to
just like, yeah.
exploit the town
Right.
along with her body, but it had nothing to do with like an actual
Yeah.
ritual,
Interesting.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so
I hadn't thought
that's
about
where
that
I'm
at
thinking.
all. One of the themes that I noticed was exploitation of like disaster. Because at the very
Mm.
beginning of the movie, Jennifer's offering a drink to Adam Brody when she's
Oh my
flirting with him, and she's like,
God.
"It's a
Yeah.
9/11 tribute shot."
They have this really awesome 9/11 tribute shooter. It's red, white, and blue, but you have to drink it really fast or it turns brownish.
All right, well, we'll drink it fast.
So one of the interesting like small details that's kind of crazy, the real reason the band comes to Devil's Kettle is that there is a sinkhole in the town that no one has ever been able to trace where stuff comes out. Like scientists have ran studies on it and they've never been able to figure out where this sinkhole comes out. And so the band, they don't ever say this, I don't think, but they throw the knife in that sinkhole. So I think that is the main reason they chose Devil's Kettle.
Devil's Kettle sounds twisted, I know, but the place is just named after a waterfall. Technically, it's not a normal waterfall. It goes into this hole, and it doesn't come out. The scientist guys dropped all kinds of things down there, but nothing ever surfaces. Maybe it's another dimension. Or, just really deep.
I thought they chose Devil's Kettle because they had a better chance of finding virgins.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Whereas, like in this
too.
city, everyone that goes to their shows is probably.
But there's got to be tons of small towns they could have gone to because he knows that the whirlpool's there because he goes right over to the over thing and throws it straight in. And they establish that early on in the movie, and there's no other reason to establish the whirlpool disappearing.
That's a good point.
But the knife comes out, and that's the same knife
that she kills the
that
band
she kills the band
is
with.
it real? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna get
She
to
finds
that.
it in
That's
the.
so funny.
She finds it in a pool with all those little floating balls that the scientists
So
are
she
throwing.
does. Okay, cool. So that's so funny too. That even that they were incompetent.
Yeah.
So you think they're literally like from the underground, like literal underground?
No, like under like hobbits.
No, like underground indie artists, but like literal underground indie
like hobbits. Hobbits are underground.
Yeah, they're mole people. Yeah.
They're hobbit Indian. No, just that they planned. That was another aspect of the plan of just how random it was that Jennifer's life was ruined by this band. Kind of like she was just a byproduct of a byproduct of their plan.
Also, I think Adam Brody also alludes to being. He's like, I'm from one of these small towns, man. Like, there's plenty of
I
girls
thought you were
like this
from
here.
France or something.
He's like from Brooklyn.
I don't know, you sure she's... Listen, I grew up in a town like this, okay? There's always that girl. They love to show it off, but they do not give it up. You told us you were from Brooklyn. My point is, this girl's definitely a virgin, okay?
So now thinking about the whole, and just like, there's got to be a reason for it, and just saying that hole to hide their sword. See, even just saying that, I'm just describing what happened in the movie, but doesn't that sound loaded with
pretty small sword too, if you ask me.
Yeah, amen. So I don't know. That just like when you're talking about the exploitation thing, because that's another like thing they exploit is what they thought was like a loophole in the universe of hiding evidence, which doesn't work. But yeah, so they kill the band, or Needy kills the band, right? That's basically.
Yeah, it's like the credits. It's basically like a photo montage of her, which I really like because
I love that.
There's two sets of credits. Yeah, there's the first credit, like the first series of credits where the band's like enjoying the splendors of like hotel life and just being a badass rock band. And then the next set is basically them just like crime photos of them just being murdered around the hotel. It's great. I thought it was pretty funny.
And the needle drop too of it to Violet by Hole, because Jennifer's Body is a Hole song. I don't know if you guys knew that as well. But
I did not know that.
that was like the perfect way to portray that because it would have run a little long. We don't need like an extra scene. Like
No, it would have been like the third.
This is
ending.
a perfect 90. Yeah, like tight 90.
Cool. Well, that kind of wraps up the movie. We made it in pretty decent time. Is there anything we want to hit before we wrap up?
I just realized that J.K. Simmons is in this, right? He plays a hook-handed teacher who I loved, and he had a crazy wig.
Yes.
But very emotional as well.
Yeah, I just forgot that Whiplash, the movie, that was first a short with Johnny Simmons and J.K. Johnny Simmons played the Miles Teller role.
I love Whiplash. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, and also he plays a drummer in this band too. Little
nice catch,
little
connection
chip.
to Whiplash. That's right.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had to contribute something, but yeah, but I wanted more J.K. Simmons. Truly, I wanted to know what the deal with the hook hand was. I thought he was so funny. I wanted more of him.
When he tried consoling the teenagers, he's like, I just want you for a second to forget who's a cool dude and who's a hoe.
Yeah.
This is a dark, dark day for a devil's kettle. And believe me, I have lived through some pretty heavy stuff. Now, more than ever, put aside your teenage concerns about who's a cool dude or who's a hoe. We can't let that damn fire win.
It already won.
He's like, I've never experienced a horror this bad, which is so funny because he has a hook hand. So you're like,
something happened.
Could that be any worse? Like, tell us your story. That's
so funny.
He was great. He was a great cameo.
I love to when he's hearing the football player call and Craig, dang it.
Craig.
He's hearing Craig getting murdered and he steps out of his car and he hears somebody wailing. He's like, these kids. And then it keeps going and he's like, wait a minute.
Let it all out, kids.
Another like male character who exhibits like sensitivity, which is so interesting because again, he's the only kind of father-ish type figure. No, there's no other parent that is featured. We have Amy Sedaris as Needy's mom.
Good. Love her.
And then I thought for a split second upon rewatch that Jennifer's mom was like somehow Parker Posey. That would have been amazing. But it's not. It's just some random woman.
Some rando.
Yeah. But again, it's like, you forget when she comes in, you're like, oh, she's a daughter, as if that can justify like to humanize her, right? You see all the victims' parents and throughout these scenes to like remind you like these are just kids like who are going through some horrific things, who are dying, like who shouldn't meet these ends. So I think that's also another intentional choice to feature parents, specifically like mothers, in these like throes of grief when they find their children in that way.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned Jennifer's mom too, because I think there's only one mention of her dad that I caught in the movie, and it's like at the very beginning she's like, my dad's out of town, so my mom's going on a date because my dad's gone or something.
We'll pick you up at 8:30.
My mom has a date with that guy who owns the ham store.
Seems nice.
I don't know if that's just the fact that her mom's like dating, so she has kind of this like weird thing going on at her home with like the mom bringing back guys maybe who aren't great type of what it was hinting at. But I thought it was interesting they had that one line because it is kind of the only insight we get to like her home life.
I mean, she also gets the car for the night, so that could also
yeah, that too.
She gets the Sebring. Again, you guys, I'm very surface level on this. I'm just I'm not.
the 2003
I think she just
Sebring.
needed the car. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so.
That's
funny.
fair. I don't even know what type of car is that?
Michael
I don't
Scott.
even know.
It's a Chrysler. Yeah,
the one Michael Scott has in the
about?
office.
I feel like I'm having a very needy moment because Chip asks her like, "What's the make and model?" And she's like, "I don't know, like 94 Rapist." Or she's like, "I don't know what
am I supposed to say?" Yeah,
but yeah, it's like I don't know the significance of the make and model.
There's another great Chip and Needy joke where Needy is talking about how Jennifer might sleep with Chip if he was the drummer and the lead singer, and Chip's like, oh, like Phil Collins, and she's like, no, I don't know.
Who's
He's
Phil
like,
Collins?
oh,
Seminole,
but
yeah.
I've never even heard of Low Shoulder. Which one is Jennifer stalking?
The lead singer. Girls like her don't go out with drummers.
Thanks a lot.
No offense. I mean, she'd probably make an exception if you were like a drummer who's also the lead singer.
Like Phil Collins.
Who's Phil Collins?
Forget it, he's seminal, but whatever.
It's interesting too. I remember first watching this when I was their age, so like, was that 2010? And this came out 2009. And it's like watching that, and watching it, they're like, this is a completely different universe. In the same way that like high schoolers don't really talk in this way, and a lot of the slang in there is completely made up for the movie. And I can imagine that people who are finding this movie now are probably dismissing that as a product of its time. And I think like as millennials, all of us are like, nobody said that. Like that wasn't a turn of phrase at all. Like
we didn't talk in codes.
We didn't talk in
these
codes.
Little riddles.
Yeah, she says like she mentions like a shrink as a whopper, and I was like, what is that? Like what is that? Or like different like ways that she names things.
There were a few times I literally didn't know what she was talking about. She'd say something and I was like, do I have any reference for that? I don't think so.
Yeah, and you have to tell like kids now, you're like, that wasn't something that existed in 08 or 09. Like that is completely in Diablo Cody's own word.
Right.
Well, cool. Is there anything else you guys want to hit before we wrap up?
I mean, the movie opens up with black kids.
Yes, oh my god.
That really struck
the song.
I'm so sorry. Yes, the song.
It's a band.
It's a band.
Of black kids.
Yes.
Yes.
My apologies.
I forgot about them until this movie.
Dude, that was like our one-hit wonder. It's nice having those for our generation. Those kind of like those nice needle drops that really port you into a time
specific
period, like
moment. Yeah.
This movie was a lot of like Leo pointing memes of like things that I remember, remember from my youth.
Tony Gazelle, that blew my mind. Forgot about
who?
That guy. Tony Gazelle. There's an infomercial being played.
Oh yeah.
Like, watch this. I squeeze my buns.
That was very funny.
I remember that guy big time when I was a kid.
Yeah. Even just their bedrooms, seeing their bedrooms, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how a teenager at that time would look like.
It was nice seeing flip phones.
Yeah.
And then also seeing the iPod through like hooked up to the cassette player in the car.
So great.
Yeah.
Classic.
I love these little relics of a time period that is slowly,
Do you think they're going to remake this and it's just going to be a different vibe as social media is just like
I think they could do like I read that Diablo Cody was talked about in I think it was like January was talking about doing a sequel to this, which would be interesting.
That'd be pretty cool. It's about Needy, I imagine.
I don't
hunting
know.
down
Yeah.
jerks.
Maybe it's about a guy this time. It's got some guys in this movie.
Finally.
Thank you.
I didn't want to say it, but this movie is super anti-man, isn't it?
Thank you, Caleb. I like felt so uncomfortable this entire podcast because I was like,
why are
all the guys?
Young white guys getting killed? What the heck, dude?
Yeah.
I feel really safe right now as a woman of color.
Being able to see myself on screen the entirety of the movie was like kind of like a warm blanket.
I did want to know like when did you guys watch this movie? Is this like did you watch it when it came out? Really? First time?
Yeah.
Dang.
I watched it when it came out. I'm pretty sure this is one I watched online, like a theater rip of it, because this was like I think a time when
you
that
saw
was
a cam rip of this.
I think so. I think that was it was still something I did in high school because you want to see someone that came out.
Right.
Yeah, I did see it close to when it came out at least. Did you
what
want
were your
ask?
first impressions?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like
I don't want to take over, but
no, between viewing it now versus when you first saw it.
Yeah. So I think I definitely was tricked by the marketing as well. Like I think now I'm pretty aware that marketing can be really misleading. So I don't take too much like weight. But back then commercials, I I would internalize, and I'd really expect the movie to hit that spot that the commercial did. And this one, as we talked about in the intro, doesn't do that at all. So I think I really liked horror movies in high school. I really liked like fun, dumb, like high school coming of age comedies. Like Superbad came out like a year or two before this, and that was iconic. Mean Girls was coming out around this time.
Yeah.
There were so many good like high school movies about like our period of high school or like just before. And so I was expecting like either like a real horror, like a fun horror movie, or like a scary horror movie where you're actually getting like terror and stuff, or like a full on like raunchy horror movie with like hot high school girls and all that, I remember just being confused though. That's the point. I remember when I watched it, I was mostly just confused about like what the movie like was supposed to be. Cause I think just going from my preconceived notions of it to what it actually was, it was just like in one viewing, I didn't rewatch it. So it's kind of like, I don't know if I got it type of movie. Like Megan Fox was very hot, but other than that, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't find. No, just kidding.
She was very hot in that movie.
Yeah, she looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just that thing where I didn't know if I was supposed to be like laughing with the movie or if it was like making fun of something I didn't understand. You know what I mean? Or it's like this, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you love it right away?
I did, definitely. Again, because it was just my refusal. I was like so repelled by the marketing. I was just like, this is not something I want to watch. Like, I couldn't even verbalize it in the way that like I understand now through a more like feminist lens. But back then I was like, I'm not watching that. That feels like, again, it's marketed for boys and it's not going to be of interest in me. And again, it like touches upon like female competitiveness. I was like, she's just like too hot, and secretly like girls just hated Megan Fox for being so like this construction of like what guys love, like the fact that she was in Transformers. It's like she's just hot and there's cars. It's just like,
and she's like working on motorcycles. That's like the iconic intro of her.
Exactly.
She's working on a car. She's actually really good in that movie though.
Just the first one is solid.
Oh, I feel like I saw it once, but yeah, I was just like, I'm not watching this. And then once I did watch it like a year later, because again, I'm also still like a really big fan of horror movies, and I was then as well. And I definitely had a vampire phase like all my life. And I was like, I have to watch this. I got to see what it's about. And I watched it and it like blew my mind because again, it like subverted all of my expectations for what the movie was sold to me. And I was like, I really think they did a disservice for underestimating the writing, the directing, Megan Fox's performance. So yeah, they just really underestimated who would connect with this movie. And I loved it like as soon as I saw it. And then
so you caught on pretty quick that it was mislabeled basically.
Yes, definitely. And
that's cool.
It's one of those. And again, it's like you see it all over like Tumblr as well. And in the same vein that like Lana Del Rey during this time, right? There's like this deep, there's something in the zeitgeist of these like deeply artistic, misunderstood women who are just like not commercially viable, right? Who kind of are sticking true to themselves. That's like speaks really authentically through this movie and at the art of the time. So I think I really liked it, and watching it now, it still really holds up. And again, it's had this like resurgence of people upon further reflection. And again, post Me Too, that people are watching this movie with that lens in mind and are forgiving of it, but also like thoroughly entertained. Like, this is funny. You're supposed to laugh with her. Like that sacrifice scene, it is horrible, but you have Adam Brody like carries it as well too. So
there has to be some levity, right?
There's levity to it, and I think it's a really great movie.
And she plays it comedic at certain times. Like she definitely leans into the funniness of it, even though that does kind of add to the horror of it though as well. Yeah, that's really interesting. And that's man, it's such a bummer because like this movie really, like, especially you brought up like post Me Too, this movie really was like ahead of its time in that regard. I just feel like it came out at the worst time. It was like marketed at the worst time.
I also don't think a lot of people had platforms to like no one had, like, social media really wasn't a thing. So no one was really able to express themselves on like to a wider audience
and connect with like other people who had similar
connect with other people.
Yes,
right.
I was like ostracized and that's like such a cool thing with the internet. But yeah, just like this movie shouldn't, and I know now it's like considered a classic, and I've read that film schools will use it in their like gender studies and words I can't remember. Yeah, yeah, just a huge bummer. And but they were aware of it because like there's it premiered at Toronto International Film Festival, I think, and I was watching the Q&A, and like Jason Reitman is like mad. Like somebody asks him, he's like, as a guy, like, do you like horror movies a lot or something? And he's like, well, I think girls are really the ones who like horror movies. Guys just like horror movies because they take the girls to them and they hope they can cuddle or something.
It's funny. I think it's a misnomer that guys love horror films because traditionally it's actually women who love horror films, and guys just like taking their girls to the horror films. They make great date movies.
Oh gosh.
And it's like, yo, dude, like chill. But I think they were all like pissed off. And like at one point, Megan Fox was like, well, if I answered this the way the studio wanted me to answer it, I'd say this is about like two young, strong females, you know.
How do you feel some responsibility for this film? Because it's going to scare the hell out of a lot of girls, right?
Why wouldn't it scare the hell out of a lot of boys if it's going to scare the hell out of a lot of girls? Just wondering. I don't think it's that scary. I don't think it's a scary movie. I mean, if I were to use my talking points from the studio, I would call it a sexy thriller with a wicked sense of humor. But I think that it's a comedy with horror elements, but it's not a frightening, scary movie where you're gonna lose sleep over it.
That's such a bummer to be on a press tour knowing basically
everybody, and like even in that room, the questions were all kind of like that. Nobody asked about like the makeout scene, but they were asking all about their relationship and if it was like uncomfortable for being like best friends like that. And
so do you guys kiss on a regular basis now or something?
We all like practice.
Yeah.
But it was just like really sad to see where they had like watched their movie be like ruined in like real time, and they kind of knew it. Like they had complained about it. Oh, and you brought up the thing with they wanted her to market this on like cam websites, which is absolutely insane.
So gross.
That's so gross, especially when understand the context. This is about high schoolers. Like that is really gross.
Seriously though, just like Almost Famous.
Yeah. At least that was the 70s. Like
different times.
That's
different
true.
times.
And it's about like rock stars.
That kind of gets that blanket. Like that was the 70s, but this is literally.
We'll give rock stars a pass, but indie stars.
No, not at all.
Sorry, those guys are douchebags. Yeah, well, cool. This was like so fun, Victoria. I thank you so much for coming on. Do you feel like you got a chance to say your piece about the movie?
I think so. I feel like I probably went on too long because I feel like I could keep going, but I'm curious. I didn't get Ian's like take on his like final take on that movie because I realized I was like, it's so interesting to see someone who watches it for the first time in this like era. Like, cause I assumed that like all of us like had seen it at some point because I don't know, it just seems like that's something you come across. There's like 10 movies a year. So
yeah, I don't know why this wasn't on my radar. Like it kind of hits besides like the horror stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of, but like kind of the, like you said, Caleb, like the teen comedy aspect, Megan Fox, even Adam Brody to extent too, you know, like, so I don't know why I never saw it, but yeah, everything you guys touched upon was like, it was a very enjoyable watch. Again, all the subversions that it kind of, that it's subverting, all the genres it's subverting. Again, like Megan Fox was so good. I really enjoyed it. I kind of went into this not knowing all the marketing drama or anything, any like background. So going into it, I was actually expecting to not like it at all, but I was pleasantly surprised. It was a fun ride.
Awesome. I did have one final thing,
please,
that we can close out on, I guess. But again, a lot of this movie kind of carries on the casting and how perfect it is. Would you be surprised that Megan Fox was not like the go-to choice? There are some other considerations for some of the characters and casting. And so Blake Lively was considered as Jennifer. That would have been
She's having a moment right now.
Yeah, that would have led to another problematic press tour, probably.
Yeah. She would have totally misunderstood the movie.
I was gonna say, I don't think.
I think she, missed the timeline. It's like if she didn't experience it with Jennifer's body, it definitely happened with It Ends With Us or whatever. The timeline got
a
her
few extra years.
yeah. And then Brie Larson was was also a candidate for Needy. Yeah, that
was like United States of Terror, Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or I was gonna say Hoot. No, that's definitely later than Hoot.
Is she in Hoot?
That's her in Hoot.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I forgot. Wow, that's mind-blowing. Very interesting. Cool. Fun fact. Thank you for that.
But that's it. That's all I have to say.
Cool. Yeah, that was an awesome episode. That was a fun one to talk about, and we're very grateful for you coming on, and you're welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
In my opinion, anytime. If we say no, it's because of Ian. You'll know now. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No, thank you so much.
No, it's really so
That's
fun.
That's not
though.
true.
No, just kidding. No, this was awesome, and thank you, for taking the time and everything. It was super cool.
Thank you. I love your guys' podcast as well, and that's why I wanted to be on. I was like, hey, it's been a while. Let's catch up and let's talk about movies, especially this one. I feel like should have all the praise, deserves it.
This one definitely deserves its flowers for sure.
Yeah.
I think it deserves like the kind of the cult status it's regaining.
Yes, totally. And hopefully this will add a little bit to its continued success or new success. Real quick, I did forget we did our awkward. We're gonna do second awkward goodbyes after this, but we have reviews, which I don't want to skip because they're very fun. Let's do reviews. Some people loved this movie, some people didn't. We'll start with the people who didn't. This is a 1/2-star review from Lavanya Naithani.
What's up, Lavanya?
She gave this 1/2-star, the lowest possible score on Letterboxd. And I thought she made some interesting points that weren't represented on our show. 1, having one short kissing scene, which was clearly queer baiting, does not make a movie the pinnacle of LGBTQ representation. Plus, the fact it felt so male gazy and fetishized does not help at all. That's the marketing's fault, maybe.
Is that? But yeah, okay.
2, stop claiming this is a feminist masterpiece for queer girls. This is coming from a feminist and a queer girl. 3, the dialogue, the acting, the characters, the execution, everything is cringeworthy and straight up horrible. 4, people are just too horny. 5, Amanda Seyfried over Megan Fox. And she goes on and explains that, but I just liked her list.
Do you like it now, Victoria?
Yeah.
He's valid in having that opinion. The fact that that's her first and last name, that's a bold choice to have that review on the internet.
Yeah.
Lavanya.
Dang, dude, I love this. Let's see what her favorite movies are. Persona. Oh, she's a little pretentious.
Oh, God.
Portrait of a Young Girl at the End of the 60s in Brussels. That's the real name, but in French. The Piano Teacher and Clueless. So
interesting.
Clueless.
Well, Clueless is actually based on a Shakespearean play, so
he's Professor Ian.
Which one?
Thank you, Lasagna. To Tame a Shrew, of course.
All right.
Stop.
No.
So this is not a 5-star review, but it is a 4-star. It was my favorite. Cool. A lot of them they're kind of like in the Ian lane where it's just one word or a sentence. So nothing really in depth, but I think we covered all the in-depth things that we liked about it. So this is from Taz. So it's a 4-star review. And they said, Jesus could walk on water, but Megan Fox could levitate over water. So who's more powerful, really?
Wow.
Thank you, Taz. And I think we'd all agree that it's MF, without a doubt.
More powerful?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I was like, motherfucker.
You guys got it.
Of course it is. I agree. I know what you mean.
I agree.
Well, that's a good 5-star. Who is that again?
Taz. It's from Taz, of course.
It's a fun name. Well, awesome. This has been our first recorded Halloween episode. We'll see where it comes out. We have so many other fun episodes lined up already, and there are many more still to be planned. We have Black Swan with another very cool Glendora person, Riley, either coming out right before this or right after this. We have Nightmare on Elm Street. We're doing the whole franchise with Johnny. Last year we did Friday the 13th, and it was very fun. It's a great episode. It's evergreen, so you can go listen to it now. Start watching Nightmare on Elm Street. That'll be a very fun episode. And others to be continued. Victoria, do you have any socials you want to shout out?
You know, I did start like kind of a film aesthetic Instagram that I do not keep up with, but I'll just plug it here because maybe that'll give me motivation.
There you
but
go.
it's Cinema Sirena. It's kind of a play off Office Siren, but it's just I don't really keep up with it. Other than that, you can find me on socials. I don't know if I want to drop my handle right now, but you can.
Victoria, you gotta get a letterbox.
You gotta get the letterbox bump.
I know.
You gotta get a letterbox.
Actually, I should get a letterbox.
Letterbox is fun. I do love it now.
Okay,
I
create
didn't
the
have it
account.
before the show.
Okay.
Yeah, get it started, and then we'll have you back on.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Then.
And that, but really anytime. So thank you so much. I'm at F is for Movies on Instagram. Logit_pod is the Logit. Ian, you are
Ian_lock
on Instagram. Follow us on Letterboxd. If you search, you'll find. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more Halloween stuff soon. Go watch a movie.
Go watch a movie.
Victoria, you have to say go watch a movie.
Oh, go watch a movie. Sorry, I missed it.
That's all right.
Yeah, you're not coming back.
Oh no.